Checking in on MGM stock today, down almost 1%. Let's bring in attorney Harmeet Dhillon to answer the tough legal questions about this case. I mean, he did. Good to see you, Harmeet. Thank you so much for joining us. He brought a lot of weapons and a lot of luggage into his room. Should the hotel have noticed that?
Yeah, of course they should have. And in fact, some hotel employees have already said, like housekeepers, that they were uneasy with this. But, somebody bringing this amount of armaments, a single person up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs, up and down the elevators, dozen times or more, is, clearly negligence on the part of the hotel for not pointing that out and doing something about it.
Harmeet, what do you think of them suing the victims? What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, that's just shocking. If, number one, clearly nobody ran this by their public relations team because they're taking a beating publicly. But, it's a declaratory judgment action. It's an extremely aggressive move on the part of defendants to affirmatively have a court say all the lawsuits filed against them are not valid. So I understand it from a business point of view, except that the arguments made in this lawsuit are, I think, frankly, borderline frivolous. The Safety Act, which is the federal law in which they're relying, is an act passed after 9/11 to give government contract-approved contractors who provide security services immunity in the case of deploying certain technologies in a terrorist attack. So number one, you have to prove that you're a government contractor, which MGM isn't. And number two, you have to prove that it's a terrorist attack. Now, in a kind of unseemly fashion, this contractor who they did hire has been lobbying the government to declare this action a terrorist act so that the contractor can be relieved of liability. But I don't really see how MGM gets in on that defense. And frankly, their lawyers have admitted in their filing that it's a novel issue and no court has ruled that the law can be used that way.
How can they define it as a terror attack?
Well, they can't, and only the government can do that. And in fact, as you know, and as Fox and Fox Business have pointed out, there's such little information that the government is giving out about this situation that, we all have a lot of questions about it. But, terrorism is a fairly narrowly defined action that has to do with, certain political activism. There's no proof, frankly, at this point that this is anything other than a violent, crazy madman who had, murder on his mind. That's different than terrorism.
Yeah, Harmeet, what do you think happens? What do you think happens with this suit? Do you think MGM wins or loses here?
No, it gets dismissed. I think it's really odd. I think it's a stunt, and I think it's preemptively a way of showing what their defenses are going to be in court. Okay. But in public policy doesn't permit people to get out of their own negligence.
Harmeet Dhillon, we love having you on. Wow, you're so good, Harmeet. Come back soon. President Trump has a new initiative to help American workers. We got more on that after the break. Stay